The Montreal Canadiens actually have a decent amount of depth in goaltending. They have, I mean, Sam Montembeault last year, he played like something like 60 games. Like, he played a lot. And then the past 2 seasons, he played 40 games and 40 games. Those are legitimate starter numbers. Now, Montembeault has always been an interesting goalie to me because he plays a lot of games, but he puts up like league average numbers where he's right above league average. So if you look at the data for league average goalies, I'll try to find it and maybe put it up on the screen right now. It's like 899 or 900, something like that. And Sam Montembeault is like just a little bit above that. And you could argue that you can win with a goalie like that. Like you can genuinely could make that argument. I mean, look at Stuart Skinner. Like, I don't really think that Montembeault is much worse than a guy like Stuart Skinner. Do you? I mean, they're both, I don't know, 1B NHL goalies. But you can win with guys like that, straight up, or you can at least go on long runs with them. Look at Aiden Hill. And they also have Fowler, who I do like, although he hasn't seen too much time in the American Hockey League. Now, one goalie from the Canadiens franchise that I would personally be okay with them moving on from would be Primo. He's been okay in the AHL, but he just hasn't put it together in the NHL. No, I believe he's only played about 55 games, but it's sounding like his tenure may be coming to an end with really, really interesting end-of-season comments by the young goaltender. Habs insider Anthony Marcotte was talking to him, and essentially he was saying that he didn't refuse to say that he wanted to re-sign, or he didn't give an indication of either way. But the reporter was saying that from what he was getting from Primo is it does seem that they both want an amicable split, if you understand what I mean. And I don't really think it's necessarily that bad of an idea. I don't know if you want to put all of the Canadiens' goaltending eggs in one basket. Like, I like Fowler, but he just doesn't have much pro experience. But maybe you just want to start developing a young guy for your future. Another reason why I think that I would be okay with letting go of Primo is that they have Dobish as well, and I mean, to be fair, he only has a short period in the National Hockey League as well. I just don't think that they're necessarily losing too much with Primo, and then you look at, Montembeault, Dobish, you look at, Fowler, you look at these guys and you think, I think it's possible that they might want to look for another goalie in free agency or a trade or something like that just to add more depth. But I think that I'm fine with this, and I think that Primo, I mean, it sounds from his comments like he's got one foot out the door. When players are very non-committal like this, it is what it is. I mean, look at Mitch Marner. When you hear Mitch Marner talk, does it sound like he's going to come back to the Leafs? Probably not. Now, question of the video right off of the bat is, what do you guys think the future of the Canadiens' goaltending will be? And I'm not talking about like just next year. I want to talk about 5 years. Because here's the thing. When you talk about the Canadiens, you have to have a plan to win the Stanley Cup. So I look at it from now. Okay, they have a bunch of good players. So what is their plan to win the Stanley Cup in the next 5 years, right? Demidov, you got all these guys. Okay, Caulfield, okay, great. You got Lane Hudson, great. We like him. But you need some level of solidified goalie. Maybe if they build a stacked enough roster, Montembeault is going to be fine. Like, you know what I mean? You could look at him as a goalie that plays 40 games, 60 games, and perhaps you think that's just good enough. Now, moving on from this, we have even more interesting information about the Montreal Canadiens and their defense. Arpon Basu, I know I'm probably butchering his name, but he is a Habs insider and one, a guy that's close to the team. He was essentially talking about Matheson and what the future holds for him. Now, recently, he actually met up with Hughes, I believe, and they were essentially just talking about like what his future is going to be in the Montreal Canadiens organization. And it was a really interesting comment from him saying that, quote, everything is on the table. Now, I thought this was pretty interesting. Although I personally think that the Montreal Canadiens missed the boat when it comes to Matheson. What I mean by that is that not this last year, but the year before that, he scored 60 points. Like, I'm like, that was probably the time to trade him, right? It's almost like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like trading players at a low. So it might actually make sense to re-sign him, but where exactly does he fit in the future of the defense of the Montreal Canadiens, right? And what exact value do you think that you're going to get for him? Or is this just kind of like a player that you just straight up want to get rid of? I don't think so, though. I still think Matheson has value, although when I watch him play, he does have some flaws. Like, I understand why he irks people the wrong way sometimes. But he does have general value from a defensive perspective. I mean, the guy scored like 60 points last year. I think he only scored about 30 this year, which is not great from his perspective. I mean, he took a step back, but everybody knew he was going to take a step back from 60 points. It was just so weird to me how the Habs didn't trade him at that position, in my opinion, anyway. Now, he right now is getting paid $4.875 million. And he is in year 8 of his contract, which is in his last year, and he's going to UFA. So, again, how much is this guy going to expect to get? Now, on one hand, left-hand shooting defensemen aren't necessarily at the nearly the premium that right-hand shooting defensemen are. So you can make the argument that maybe his value would get dampened down a bit because of that. And another point is that he took a step back. So again, from one point, maybe you could actually get a good bargain on Matheson. Also, I'm pretty sure he speaks French like very fluently. I think even Chris Letang said that his fluency in French is something like 7 out of 10, which, I mean, you know, for the Montreal Canadiens, that's like a really big deal for them, right? I do think for the future, it actually may make sense to let this player go. Even though he has some talent, he has some ability, I understand he has some added, he's not a negative on your team by any means. Like, he adds more, but I just do I'm interested in seeing what a young Habs core can be for the future. I think he's aging out. I think he's going to UFA. I'm a little bit worried that the Montreal Canadiens might overpay even if left-hand defensemen aren't at a premium. So this is where I'm sitting on Matheson right now, and it's interesting that, quote, everything is on the table with this player. So this is something that I would be watching if I was a Canadiens fan this year as well. Anyways, I am going to end the video there. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.